All right, so how do you go from vertex form to standard form? And how do you go from standard form to vertex form? Well, guess what? One is a lot easier than the other. And so we're gonna start with the easier one first, because this one is not gonna be so much fun. But don't worry, I'm here. I got you. All right, so let's just go ahead and clarify what exactly the formula is for vertex form as well as for standard form. So this is called vertex form. The general formula for that looks like this. And then for our standard form, our general formula is this. So, assuming you're familiar with some quadratics and maybe you've dealt with, graphing from one to the other, or maybe into solving, there's benefits and there is advantages to using either one of these forms for depending on what you're doing. Graphing, a lot of times you'll see things in vertex form. And it's not often that we ask to put things in standard form, but sometimes that shows up, or sometimes you're able to find this, but the answer is going to be standard form. So thankfully though, the process to go from vertex form to standard form is actually not that bad. All we simply need to do is take our quantity squared and expand it, right? Because that's really the difference here. We have an x squared here, and here is an x squared, but it's in a binomial squared. So if we want to get rid of that binomial squared, all we simply need to do is apply the multiplication. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that x plus 3 quantity squared means x plus 3 times x plus 3. It's a pretty easy process, but what happens to most students? They just square the x and square the 3. Like they apply distributive property across addition, which, the power across addition, which, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot do that. So let's go ahead and expand this out. I will work through it step by step. So therefore you can make sure you understand each and everything I'm doing, and also just to avoid making mistakes. Okay, so now what we have here is going to be the distributive property, or you could look in terms of FOIL. So x times x is going to be an x squared, x times 3 is 3x, x times 3 is going to be 3x. Now just remember, a 3x and a 3x are going to be like terms, right? And I have two of them. So 3x plus 3x I can actually combine to give me a 6x, and then a 3 times 3 is going to be a 9. Now, a lot of times if you are familiar with doing a lot of this distributive property, you can do it in your head. I didn't want to show every single step in that case, but I did want to explain where I'm getting these numbers from. And then we just have a plus 5. Now we still have everything in parentheses, and you got to keep it in there because remember, this -6 is being multiplied by this whole quantity, just like it was up there. So just because we expanded it, it's still, everything is being multiplied by -6. So now I need to apply my distributive property one more time. -6 times x squared is a -x squared. -6 times a 6x is going to be a -36x. -6 times 9 is going to be a -54 plus 5. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing I need to do is just add a -54 plus 5, which is going to give me a -49. Okay, now you can tell if I gave you that problem probably on a test and I said graph it, you'd be like, that doesn't look too much fun. I'll maybe go ahead and put it into vertex form, and this would be a lot easier to go ahead and graph. However, if I was to say graph this, you're like, same thing. I'm like, I don't want to know how to graph that. But if I said maybe solve it, you could use factoring, maybe quadratic formula. There's a lot of techniques you can go and use here. But what if I did say I want you to graph it? And I said, you know what? I want you to graph it using the vertex form method. So therefore, we're going to have to rewrite this into vertex form. Now, I could have picked a lot easier problems to go ahead and do, but this will be a fun problem to go ahead and work through. So even if you struggle with the process that I'm going to show you, it's good to kind of get through some of these more difficult problems. But if it's kind of way over your head, always go back and check some of the easier examples I have. Okay, so we need to take this equation, which is in standard form, and we need to put it in that form. Now remember, when I went from standard form, vertex form to standard form, I expanded, right, my binomial squared. This does not have a binomial squared. So what we need to do is we need to create a binomial squared. So the process of creating a binomial squared is what we call completing the square. Now there is a caveat with completing the square. When we are completing the square, we cannot complete the square when our a is not equal to 1. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. But the way that I'm going to teach you in this one is to just go and factor out your a from our first two terms. So we have a y equals a 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. I need to get rid of this 3. I need to get a solid x squared. So I need to factor out a 3. Now I can factor out a 3 from a 3x squared, right? That's just x squared. However, how do I factor out a 3 from a -7? Because 3 does not divide into -7. Well, since it doesn't evenly divide into it, I'm just gonna have to leave it as a fraction. It's gonna look like this. Okay, now again, how did you write 7/3? Like, how does that make sense? Well, again, always go back and check your answer, right? When you're factoring something out, technically all you're simply doing is dividing out by 3. If I take a 3x squared and I divided it by 3, that's just giving me an x squared. If I take a -7x divided by 3, you can see it's just a -7/3 x. And again, you can always check back your work by multiplying by the 3. 3 times x squared, 3x squared. 3 times a -7/3 x is a -7x. Now I'm only going to do it on my first 2 terms rather than all 3 terms. That is another technique. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it here. Because what we want to do is we're not worried about our constant in this case at the moment. What we're focused on is creating that binomial squared. So right now, inside my parentheses, I have an x squared minus a 7/3 x. But if I need to create a binomial squared, that means I need to have a perfect square trinomial. I need to find a number that I can insert inside this parenthesis that is going to create a perfect square trinomial. To do that, I need to find a c. And c is going to represent the constant of this perfect square trinomial, right? So how do we find this value c that creates a perfect square trinomial? Well, that is simply taking a b divided by 2 and squaring it. B comes from the coefficient of our linear terms, which in this case is going to be a -7/3, and then we need to divide it by 2. Now, hopefully you recognize dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. Whenever I'm multiplying fractions, remember numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, so therefore this is going to be a -7/6 quantity squared, which is going to give me a positive 49/36. So when I have this perfect square trinomial, now I'm going to take this value and I'm going to add it inside my parentheses. Okay, so believe it or not, this is a perfect square trinomial. I know a lot of times when students see fractions, they're like, how does that a perfect square trinomial? That doesn't make any sense. And then don't forget, you still have a 2, but there's a problem. Whenever you take some random number like this value c and I put it on one side of the equation, you have to put it on the other side of the equation, right? Remember, equations are supposed to be equal. One side is equal to the left. One side is equal to the other. So if I'm going to take this number that I said creates a perfect square trinomial and put it inside my parentheses, I need to either add that same number on the other side, or I can also subtract it on the same side. That's going to keep everything balanced. All right, so this is a perfect square trinomial. How do you know what a perfect square trinomial? Now remember, a perfect square trinomial is just going to be binomials that multiply by themselves. Technically, you're going to have the what 2 numbers multiply our last 2 numbers. Actually, let me write this out so I can see this. So this gives me a x squared plus 6x plus 9, right? So these 2 terms are going to multiply to give me 9, but then add to give me a 3. So how do you find these values? All it simply is just going to be whatever your b divided by 2 was. So you need to take b divided by 2 and simplify it. That's going to be your expression. Now, if your middle term is negative, that means your binomial is negative. If your middle term is positive, that means your binomial is going to be positive. But in this case, I have a y equals a 3 times my b divided by 2 was a -7/6. Now, go ahead and check my work if you want to. Actually, let's just go and do it. This will be -7/6 times a -7/6. That better give me a 49/36, which yes, it does. And a -7/6 plus a -7/6, that better give me a 7/3. Well, -7 plus -7 is a -14/6, which reduces to a negative, divide these top and bottom by 2, which is a -7/3. So hopefully you can see that, indeed, whatever your b divided by 2 is going to be this value here. Now, the last thing we have to work with is our final answer, or is our constant, right? Which is going to be our k. I have a 2 minus a 49/36. How the heck am I going to do that? Well, you can only subtract fractions when you have common denominators. Right now, I have an integer minus a fraction. So if I want to subtract an integer from a fraction, first thing I do is change my integer to a fraction. So now 2/1 is a fraction, right? So again, they need to have common denominators though. So if this is 36 and this is 1, to get a common denominator, if I multiply the top and bottom by 36, I'm now going to have a 72/36 minus a 49/36. Now I have common denominators. Now I can subtract or apply whatever operation I have to my numerators. Now I know if this was 50, 72 minus 50 would be a 22. But I'm one less than 50, so therefore it's going to be a difference of 23. So now I have y equals a 3 times x minus a 7 over 6 quantity squared plus a 23. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone vertex form down to standard form and standard form down to vertex form. I hope this was helpful.